at this point, I bend now. I do a big bend because I notice you get very similar results. I mean, I can get almost a top plant look by just bending that sucker right over 90 degrees, you know.
Welcome to the Autoflower podcast. I'm your host, Chad. Allow me to quickly remind you that you can find the podcast on Instagram at Autoflower Podcast. Also on Twitter, which is really inactive. It's really weird how that works. But on Twitter at Autoflower Pod, and there's also a Facebook page called Autoflower Podcast. You can link up there as well. Yeah, it's really weird. I wonder why it's like that. Twitter is like just crickets, and Instagram is just exploding with the cannabis community. I don't know why it's like that, but maybe because of the pictures and stuff, I guess. I don't know. Anyhow, our guest this week is Ken, and Ken is a test grower for Morningstar Seed Company, and he can be found on Instagram at NEK Simple Life, because he's all about that simple life. And NEK is Ken backwards. Pretty clever, huh? But that's actually not what it means. NEK, I was told, stands for Northeast Kingdom, because that's where he lives. And when I heard that he lived in the Northeast Kingdom, which I've never heard of, I asked him if he was from the Shire and was related to Bilbo Baggins. But come to find out, the Northeast Kingdom is nooked way up there in the corner of the United States, up in Vermont. So give his Instagram a follow. He grows some large, beautiful autoflowers. He actually just weighed one in after it was trimmed and dried. The flower he weighed in, I think, over 12 ounces. And then there was like another ounce and some change of usable trim. So depending on the way you want to look at it, either 12 or 13 ounces of usable medicine there, but man, either way, that is a lot. So, anyhow, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ken.
All the time, that you gotta go through the whole veg process, and then, I ended up, I got mites one time. And it was just a nightmare to deal with. And it was like, it's just slowed down my veg growth. I mean, I finally got rid of them. I was able to flower my plant out. I mean, it took me like 7 months for the whole process. I had it in the deep well set up. I mean, it was just a nightmare. So it was like, it was your typical, you read about, your typical photo 6 month, whole round trip, then some. Oh my God. So, I finished that. I was a little disheartened. And I'm like, I'm going to do it again. I got back in. I started I bought a big tent, I bought my 4x8. I bought everything to put in it. And then I'm like, I started looking around at seeds, and I was just getting ready to buy some, and my buddy came over, and he had 4 autoflowers that had got to about, they were like a foot tall, and he had to move. So he's like, hey man, he's like, you want them? He's like, I know you just set everything up. I'm like, okay, I'll take them.
Yeah.
And he's like, he told me about it. He's like, all he, he's like, he really didn't know much because he was moving, and he wasn't much of a grower. He had just got him kind of going. And he's like, he's like, pretty much left me with the newts that he was using, and to leave them on 24-hour light. And I really didn't know much else besides that.
Oh, okay.
So I started my search. I started reading and researching everything, and going on the Autoflower network, going on YouTube, watching other people do their thing while I was growing these ones out, and kind of just going through what I would do with my normal photo plan, routines and everything. I mean, they went well. They were AK-47s. They ran about 3 months, and they did really well. And I ended up, so when I bought my seeds, I ended up buying seeds for more Autoflowers, because I was like, those actually went really well, and it was better than what I was expecting. I got a better yield than I was used to, and it was just like, it opened my eyes to the whole thing as it was going on. I'm like, this is just, what was I doing the whole time? I'm like, I've been wasting time for years. I had done photos for about 5 years off and on beforehand, and it's like, this is crazy. I'm like, what I had been doing? I'm like, now, it's been a year now since I started just doing Autoflowers, and I've already, I'm on my 5th harvest. This, in the year, I harvested 5 times. So, I mean, it was a pretty good year. And, I mean, I had some really big returns.
Did you?
On very few plants. That, it was cool because, I love the speed factor of the auto. You can, you can see training results almost in hours. You do something and come back in an hour and see it, where a photo plant does take a little more time. They're just naturally slower, and I tried to grow a few photo plants during the summertime, and I tell you, I lost patience for them real quick.
Did you?
Yeah, and I ended up giving them away to. I gave one away to Tail and Trim, my Obi-Wan cook, but I only had 3 seeds. I paid like $100 for the 3 seeds. Jeez. And I grew this one up. Finally, one out of the 3 popped and grew, and he took it, and it's a mother right now. So.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, or it was. I don't know if it still is, but it was.
Yeah, I tried to grow a photo once outdoors, and it ended up being a male. It was a freebie seed. It ended up being a male, and it didn't. I chopped it because I didn't want to spread pollen all over my neighborhood. You know what I mean?
How much time went into that? Before you find out it's a male.
Yeah, well, with that one in particular, not too much, to be honest with you. I kind of just threw it outside and kind of just watered it, and I didn't really care for it and love it. And then if it was a female, I probably would have started a different relationship with it.
Yeah, but I mean, the whole timing thing, just to even get to the point where you knew it was a male, it's just forever.
Yeah. It was a very long time, yeah, compared to what I'm used to,
Now, like the things we're working with now, we're seeing them with, 23 days has been like the longest show that I've had yet in a long time.
Do you find that males show their sex before females, or am I just having a fluke over here?
No, males usually do, and they a lot of times males, I find males will start showing like traits right out of the gate too. Sometimes, just like when you pop your seeds and you have that one mysterious one that just pops out of the shell, and the rest are all like little 1/4-inch tails.
Yeah.
That one's usually a male.
Gotcha. Yeah, it seems like the last 2 round of seeds I've germinated, the males, they grow a little quicker, and then they show sex like quite a few days, like multiple days, like even up to a week earlier.
Yeah, I've had some as few as 12 days, and then as late as 17 days.
Okay.
Per male. But, I mean, within that 4-day window, they pretty much all show.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's your growth setup like? What do you got going on as far as the tints and lights and all that?
Right now, I have at my new place right now, I have two 32 by 32 by 63 tents set up right now. With
one of them's the Scrog, right? That you're scrogging that.
Yeah, one is the Scrog with the XL in it, the optic XL in it, and then the other one is it's just I have my Powerballs going in there. I have an Indigo going in there right now, and I have that with Autocobs going in there. So I'm kind of doing a side by side. I'm running two Autocobs at 100, 108 watts versus the 100-watt optic in the other tent.
Okay.
And to the eye, the Autocobs look brighter, but the plants are telling me differently.
Is that right?
Yes.
Do you think they seem to be liking the other one a little better? Or?
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I definitely within hours of putting that in there, I noticed, more growth. Things changed. Like the leaf colors changed a little bit. They all started to pray a little more. Everybody looked a little happier.
What about a light schedule?
A 4x8 setup too going. I still have two plants going in there right now. I have one of the Powerball F1s, and I do have a Great Northern Kush from Puff Puff Cultivator still going in there.
Oh, okay.
And those are, I have 6 Autocobs and HLG 65 in there.
Oh, you got quite the setup going on.
Yeah,
I'm a little jealous. What light schedule do you run?
In my big tent, I run 18.6 just for the fact that it's a little more costly to run that tent. In general. I mean, I that, and it's not, it's at my other place, and I still have going until I finish the run plants that are going there. So I moved in the meantime, reset up while that was going on, and I had 2 places going right now. It's kind of a little crazy. They're like a mile apart from each other, so I'm like driving a mile back and forth throughout the day a few times.
Oh, yeah.
So I left those ones on 18.6 for that last run because they need a little less care. I find that the plants on an 18.6 or even a 24 cycle versus 24/7, the plants are a little more forgiving. They seem to be overall a little more healthy. They just take longer, They don't produce as well. They take a little longer.
Sure.
But the overall plant seems a little more healthy.
Yeah. I've tried 18.6. I've tried 24, and then right now, for the last probably 2 months, I've been probably about the last month, I guess, I've been doing 24 hours a day. Yeah. I definitely notice with 24-hour lights on that the growth is substantially quicker for me. I don't know if that's just my particular lights or if that's just the biology and the photosynthesis happening.
Yeah, I agree. They do grow faster. My stuff in my 32s, they're both on 24 hours, and the growth is just way, way faster. That the frog setup, she's just going, just absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
I was looking back at pictures of the one I grew at 18.6 versus this one, and I'm like 12 days or so ahead.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Of where I was. And I mean, that plant was massive. I mean, it ended up being 52 inches tall, and it yielded 5.5 ounces of quality flower, and then I got like 2 ounces of stuff that I turned into hash and stuff.
That's amazing. So total, like around 7 ounces off one plant of usable medicine, basically. Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Quick light too. Yeah, I'm torn on the whole light thing. I really don't know. Everyone's got such a a lot of people have an objective opinion about it, but I don't really know. I'm trying all different ones out, and I know like in nature the Ruderellus, which I guess technically we're not really growing 100% Ruderellus, but the Ruderellus, I guess in nature, a lot of people say that it doesn't really see darkness, and while that may be true, I do wonder though. There's got to be like some twilight, right? Like kind of like that when the sun kind of dims and they're not getting blasted by noontime sun 24 hours a day, I guess is kind of what I was thinking.
It's like Alaska, I mean, that's the easiest way to, like that, the light when you get up in Alaska where you have, it's light all day, but it's not really light. It's like a twilight, like you said, for 12 hours or 8 hours or whatever.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. And then not only that, but we've got, a Ruderellus gene bred into photoperiod cannabis traits and stuff, or vice. I don't know how all that works, but basically they've come together, right? I mean, you still there?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm sorry. I thought I was
working my way over to the squad looking at her.
Oh, nice. Nice. Yeah, I was really impressed with that. So that Scrog tint, you're in a 10-gallon pot, right?
Yep, it's in a 10-gallon pot.
That's huge. That's
awesome.
I
mean, she's blowing roots out the side of that 10-gallon pot already, too.
No way. You're kidding.
Yeah, all the way down. It's crazy.
That's the Auto Purple Micro Dot?
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, I've got 2 seedlings. They're about 6 days old. I haven't even posted a picture of them yet, but I can't wait to grow those, or one of them.
Very impressed with it. I mean, the smell, the frost. I mean, you're gonna just be like, "What is this?"
Wow,
you touch it and it leaves you like wet. And then if you bump into it in the tent, and it'll like just leaves you wet. It's like it's crazy how much resin it produces.
Yeah, I flushed my last plant with some of that Soul Grow Terptonic, and man, I think I'm a big fan of that stuff, man. That stuff really brought out the because I dried that plant that I was flushing. It's curing right now, but I had to start actually smoking it because I'm out. And I just harvested one of these same strains about 2 months ago, and I got to tell you, man, like I don't know if it's the terptonics or if it's just me, but it's the same soil, same light, same food, same strain, everything, same breeder. And this batch that I harvested is just so like potently smelling delicious. I don't know how else to describe it. It tastes good too.
I agree. I really like that product. I've already inquired about reorder. I was like, I'm gonna reorder because I'm like, I love this product. I'm like, they're great people, great with answering questions, and
absolutely.
I'm looking forward to running it through a flower cycle and actually running it, instead of just a flush, actually running it.
Right. Yeah.
See how it goes.
Yeah. I love that stuff, man. I think they've got a great product on their hands, and I live like 30 minutes from them. I could drive to them in about a half hour. They're just right down the freeway from me. Yeah, it is pretty cool. So I'll have to connect with them. But yeah, it's good stuff. So could I ask you about what your thoughts are on topping autoflowers? I know you had mentioned that you tend to not top. Is that so you can just get the most out of the plant as far as yield or growth or height? Or?
No, so here is what I've noticed with topping, and I don't know if it's just was a fluke in a batch. I'm still not sure. I'm gonna have to at some point go back and revisit topping and stuff. But since this one I stayed away from it, is I topped some plants and I noticed it changed the flavor profile.
Really?
It was weird because I had 4 critical masses going. I topped 2 and I didn't top 2.
Mm-hmm.
Then 2 tasted the same, 2 tasted the same, but they were totally different, you know. I don't know if it was just the coincidence that, you know, each pheno hit on, you know, it just happened out that way, or it had something to do with the topping. You know, I've not seen anything negative with topping at all. I've actually, you know, had great luck with it. I mean, I made some phenomenal, like, bananas on a stick buds with one of them. That was, it was awesome. I'll have to send you a picture of the critical mass I did. That was, you know, I topped it and lollipopped it and defoliated it really heavy. And I mean, it just made buds on a stick. It was just, you know, a whole crown of buds on a stick. I mean, it came out phenomenal. And, but the flavor profile was different than the one that I let grow naturally. And I like the one that grew naturally better. So I've tried to just, at this point, I bend now. I do a big bend because I notice you get very similar results. I mean, I can get almost a top plant look by just bending that sucker right over 90 degrees, you know?
Yeah. You know, I'll have to tag you in a picture so you can see it, one of my older pictures, or you might have seen it, but I grew a Kim Sister Auto, which is what I just harvested as well. So this is the other plant I was telling you about. But that one, I'd done the same thing. I let it grow up about just, you know, a few nodes, and I just bent it over like horizontally and just grew the plant horizontally until it reached the other side of the pot. And then I just let it all shoot up. I didn't top anything. I didn't even defoliate that plant. I didn't touch it. And there was like 6 or 7 huge colas just reaching out from the thing. And that's my biggest yield so far, personally. And the reason I did that is because the plant before that, I had let it just grow up normally. And I've only got a 4-foot ceiling, and then plus my light. And then you've got to have, you know, so many inches between the light and your soil. My plant grew up into, you know, really close to my LED, and it just foxtailed all over the place, and it wasn't good. So that's when I started training my plants. I was like, okay, for this tint, I have to train, unless I'm growing in like half-gallon pots or something, you know, which isn't really sustainable.
Yeah, it's just not even, I mean, at that point, you're hurting your yield so bad, it's like, why even bother?
Yeah, that's kind of why I'm switching gears. Instead of growing like, you know, 4 or 5 plants in a, well, maybe more like 3 or 4 in a 1-gallon fabric pot. That's why I'm testing out these purple micro dots in a 5-gallon bag, because, you know, it might be more beneficial for me to grow like 1 or 2 large plants rather than growing a bunch of tiny plants. You know what I mean?
I think you're going to find that that's going to work out better for you.
Do you think so? Yeah, I just didn't really put 2 and 2 together, you know, and think about that. You know, I'm just feeding individual small root systems and getting a bunch of small plants when I could just be feeding 1 or 2 plants and getting big yields.
You know, and that's like, this is why I went to the one plant with the scrog there, because I wanted to really test that theory to see where that, you know, that actually landed me for, you know, one plant, really focusing on the one plant and just, okay, this is it. I'm really going to push for yield on this one.
Yeah, that thing's a monster already.
It really is.
How old is that? How old is it right now?
It is 33 days old right now.
That's just amazing, bro. That thing's filling up that 32 by 32 already, and through 2 scrog nets.
Yeah, I mean, it's the whole canopy from the day that I put it in there, and be like 10 days ago. It's already grown like 10 inches up through, both nets. It's unreal.
Wow. Yeah, that the purple micro dot it's making a buzz around the internet. That's for sure. That's, I think, not to show too much favoritism. I don't want to do too much of that on the podcast, but man, I think Morningstar Seed Company has got some fire genetics on their hands. I think once things get settled and you know, he's into selling his seeds consistently, I once he actually officially launches the whole thing and kind of gets the seeds out there for the public to just purchase up, I think it's gonna blow up, man. He's got some great genetics going.
He really does, and I mean, the Powerball is a phenomenal daytime smoke, and then the micro is a great nighttime. So I mean, you have both worlds too, and
yeah,
I find they both work well. In
the toxic twin.
Yeah, I mean, I was blown away by it. I actually had a Powerball that finished before everything else that I started. It was like, it finished at like 62 days. It was really fast.
Wow.
We're just trying to do everything that we haven't run. We're trying to run some of that stuff, and on the side, we have a few other things that that are to come on the way here.
Yeah. What about nutrients? What do you use as far as nutrients?
Oh man. So I have like this nutrient locker going.
Oh,
I
boy.
use so much stuff. It's crazy, but I have like a full line of nectar. I have a full line of advanced that I use.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a Fox Farm line that I have used from years ago, that I still have some of them. And every once in a while, I do grow a plant out with them outside, because I find that I have good luck with my outdoor plants with the Fox Farm line. Seems like that works really well for my outdoor plants.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm using. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you know what? Go ahead. What else do you use? I don't want to interrupt you there.
And I've gone to Greenleaf, and I tell you, I'm probably for my cocoa stuff at this point, I'm gonna stick with Greenleaf because it's really working well.
Oh, okay.
It's easy to work with. They provide you with an amazing sample. If you call them for a sample, they give you almost like a year's supply sample. It's crazy.
Jeez.
And then the whole lineup is fairly cheap.
Is it?
Yeah, it's relatively inexpensive for the quantity you get. You get a relatively large quantity.
It goes a long way, huh?
And it goes a long way. I mean, you don't really need a lot, and I find it's very stable. Like, the pH is very stable. I can, make a pH adjustment and go and check it, and it's like, sometimes you use nutrients and you like put your pH pen in, and the number bounces around for a second before it kind of settles down, and then it may flicker for a second. Even when it does settle down, this like literally like boom, will like lock right down to a number like right away, and it's like I haven't had nutrients that do that, and this one does it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Now, the advanced line that I used was the pH Perfect line, and I never adjusted pH on that line at all. I ran it right through the whole run without even touching it.
Oh, wow.
And that worked out well, but I didn't get the bud thickness that I was looking for. So I'm still on the hunt for a nutrient that I like the most. Yeah.
Have you mixed up some of that Autoflower concentrate from Nature's Living Soil?
I haven't yet. I do have it, and that is probably going to go for the special purples there.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
Yeah, that was bought for that purpose. So.
Yeah, man, that stuff will make your butthole pucker when you open it. Woo, boy, that stuff smells, man. But you know what? After you mix it, it's not too bad, and it's not stinking up my tent too. I've got that 5-gallon bag mixed with it, so it's not stinking up too much. So I'm running the Auto Purple Micro Dots with that Autoflower concentrate, and
awesome.
I'm excited to see how it goes. So I'm just pHing the water. I know you don't technically have to, I've heard, but I did reach out to them, and they did suggest, if you can at least just get the pH to, around 7, it's neutral. And so I think I'll just go ahead and pH my water like I usually do. And I might even still feed it some teas and stuff like that.
Well, I did talk to them. I talked to them a lot about that, and they're very open to input too. They want to see what goes on.
Okay.
They were like they even told me, they're like, if you don't mind when you do it, can you run 2 and run 1, and if you're going to add things to one and not the other one, just to see what happens. So they can know, because we're looking to better the product still. They're like, it's a great product. It does work all the way through, but everybody's situation is different too. Some people use RO water. Some people don't use RO water. Myself, I use, it is RO water, but I use a zero water pitcher to make RO water, because it's the same 5-stage filter. It comes out at 0 it's ppm is 0. And it's easy. I don't have to worry about like hooking it up into an apartment, so I can move around, not have to worry about that. Whereas like for an good RO system, where you're not going to spend all day sitting there making water, you're going to end up, you're going to have to hook it into the house, and then it's not going to be feasible in an apartment.
Yeah, it's expensive too to get a reverse osmosis system for like under your sink, or or even like some people have the huge ones outside. That stuff costs a lot of money.
Yeah, and that's where I did my research, and that's where I ended up with the zero water filter. It gives you the same water. It's pretty much the same gallons per minute coming out of that as it is for one of the small like tabletop RO systems that cost $200.
Yeah.
And you have to sit there and attend it and have a place for wastewater to dump, where you can just you can get the big like refrigerator pitcher at Walmart for $39. Go over, fill it up, walk back over half an hour, fill it up again, and then you got water for the day.
Oh, I might have to pick one of those up.
It's amazing, man.
Yeah.
If you do, just make sure you use heavy CalMag. Like anything that says like heavy feeding for your CalMag, always do the heavy feeding. Right. Okay. It strips it right out. Strips all that right out of the water. So you need to add that back in.
Right. Yeah. It strips out most minerals and things like that.
Everything. Literally like everything. And that's I love it for, if I'm going to use nutrients, I love it for the fact that, I know what I'm putting into this.
Right. I never even thought of that. Yeah. Cause I'm so unfamiliar with like ppms, and I know what it means and the purpose behind measuring it and stuff, but that's just something that I've never even considered measuring yet or anything like that, and I've got my eyes on it, and a few people have kind of encouraged me to get a ppm meter and start paying attention to that. But
if you buy that filter at Walmart, it comes with the ppm meter right with it in the box.
Oh man, what a killer deal!
Yeah, so it's a win-win.
Yeah,
and that filter will last probably. If you're doing 3 plants or so, that'll probably last you. I'm gonna say it'll probably last you 3 to 4 runs before you need to change the filter. Because you can let it get up to like 40, 50 parts per million before you change it again. That's fine, because you're still getting rid of your chlorine. That's the biggest thing you need to get rid of, is like the chlorine in the town water.
That's exactly why I am looking into reverse osmosis, is chlorine. And then I've noticed, I went on my my water company's website, and they switched over a couple of years ago from chlorine to chloramine. which does not evaporate if you leave your water sitting out. So
yes.
I need something to remove that chloramine so that it's not ruining the biological life in my soil.
Yeah, because it does. It just nukes everything down there, like all your microbes and all
exactly.
that. It's almost useless to use them.
Yeah. It's like it's almost like, kind of reminds me of taking an antibiotic. Like it just wipes out all the good and the bad, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, I was doing just regular tap water, gassing it off with my deep well system, and that, man, I kept running into issues too. So that's when I I'm like, I got to figure this all out and, you know, go to a different route. And that's why, you know, I ended up, you know, I started looking for RO, and then I found, you know, looking online, and was like, you know, it's the same thing, does the same thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's a fraction of the cost. I mean, yeah, it's a little headache because you got to walk over and fill the pitcher, but you can leave it on the counter, fill the pitcher, and then when it's all said and done, your water's at room temperature. You know,
right. Good to go.
It's a win-win all around.
Yeah, man, that's some great little nugget of knowledge there. I might have to take that and run with it, my friend. That's good stuff.
I would. You know, I tell everybody about that one too. I'm like, you know, that's one that, you know, if you're looking into it, even thought about it, it's worth it to try it first, you know, because
right.
you can eliminate, you know, a $200 price tag that's going to be a more headache, because those $200 systems, not only does it only put out like 3 gallons an hour, but you have to deal with a wastewater return. So you have to sit there and attend the thing as it wastewaters back into the sink for the 3 gallons an hour, or if it like runs on the floor or whatever. Oh man, you know.
Yeah. You know, I was going to purchase a reverse osmosis system from Costco, and but the reviews of the wastewater turned me away. How much water it unfortunately, some of these systems do waste in making that.
Oh, it's crazy. I mean, you know, they use like a tenth of the water that they actually make RO water with, and the rest of it is wasted. Yeah,
that's what I understand.
And if you're paying for water, there's another expense.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I was like, you know, any way I can get around an expense like that, you know.
Mhm. Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, I'm all about keeping the cost down.
Yeah, you know, I mean, especially if you're just doing the home growth thing. I mean, there's no point in going, you know, hog wild if you can save the money somewhere, and, you know, it's going to work just as well, you know. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So how long have you been growing for Morningstar Seed Company?
I started in October with Morningstar.
Okay.
I mean, we started talking back in September or so.
Uh-huh.
I think, like September we started talking. He started following along as I started posting pictures of one of my runs that was going on, because we went legal here in July.
Yeah.
So at that point, I started sharing pictures and stuff at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And I always had my medical card and everything here, so it wasn't an issue as far as my stuff anyways. But,
right.
You know, I'd rather do it just because I don't want friends and family that might run into my Instagram page to get squeamish, you know.
I hear you. I can relate with that 100%, man. Yeah.
And at this point, when everything went legit here on July 1st, I was like, you know what? That's it. I don't even care anymore. I'm like, this is what I do. I'm like, this is what I do. This is what I've been doing.
Good deal.
Like, tell everybody.
Yeah. I'm getting to that point. You know. Yeah. I can relate with that. I spent about 12 years pretty deep involved inside of evangelical Christianity that I just kind of came out of a few years ago, and man, I'll tell you, it is, you know, cannabis is not a very welcoming substance in that evangelical Christianity, and when you're in it for 12 years, that becomes the only friends you have. And when you exit and when you leave the circle, so to speak, as with any, tribal type of, group. I mean, even us, I mean, let's be honest, like we're all kind of a tribal group of cannabis growers. And, but when you leave the fold, when you leave the tribe, especially when you're doing stuff like I'm doing, which they consider completely sinful and stuff. Yeah, man, I know. So I was a little hesitant to even start the podcast, and I don't use my last name, and I try to keep it hush. But you know what? If it comes out, it comes out, man, and yeah, I don't care, whatever. I'm not doing anything wrong, I mean, the fact of the matter is, not to get religious, I don't want to take it there, but the fact of the matter is while a lot of these folks are looking down on others for using cannabis, even medically, they're at home popping Valiums and opiates and stuff, that are prescribed from their doctor, and ODing, and so
drinking every night. And
yeah. So it's all good, man. To each their own. I'm just doing my thing, and just want to, just want to provide medicine for myself, because I can tell you what, man, I've been on some pharmaceuticals now, and man, cannabis has been just an absolute blessing in my life, man. It's changed my life. It's changed the way I'm able to go out in public, and with anxiety and Tourette's, and I think some of these people don't realize that, how much it can do for somebody,
I know, and that's, I mean, it totally, that's one thing they just totally don't understand. They're just so wrapped up into it being such a bad thought to them that they can't even get past that it could help somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if someone can spend 30 minutes in my body going to, I live in Southern California, and I've got 5 kids, man. And, so we do Disneyland, and we do Legoland, and we camp at the beach a lot. And, I got to tell you, if someone can just spend 30 minutes in my body and experience what I experience, without any medicine. And then if I vape all my cannabis. If I vape cannabis, dude, it's just a whole different story, and it works way better than any pharmaceuticals I've ever taken,
Yep.
So,
it does too.
Yeah. But, yeah, man. Right on, brother. Well, man, thanks for letting me pick your brain, and thanks for chatting with me and stuff. And, man, I just really appreciate it.
Hey, no worries, man. Like I said, anything I can do to help, you just ask, buddy,
Right on, brother. Well, I appreciate it, man, and thanks for coming on, and have yourself a good day, bro.
You too, man. Take care, Ted.
All right, you too.
Hey, guys, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. If you wouldn't mind, on iTunes, subscribing and rating and even leaving a review, man, that would be so great. It would really help the podcast to get to some more listeners. Alrighty, thank you much. Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. If you wouldn't mind on iTunes subscribing and rating and even leaving a review, man, that would be so great. It would really help the podcast to get to some more listeners. Alrighty, thank you much.